Okay, great. Thanks everyone for having us. So some of the current challenges that we're faced with now is first, the average person produces half a pound of plastic a day. Additionally, 8 million tons of plastic get dumped in the ocean every year, and 80% of that is from litter being blown into the sea or intentional garbage being dumped. So we really want to target millennials for this specific campaign. Firstly, they're the generation that's currently having children and cares about the future of the environment. Additionally, just the power of their social media presence is really crucial. So how they currently feel about the environment is over 80% of millennials say that being eco-friendly improves their quality of life. 3 out of 4 people actively look for changes they can make in their home and lifestyle to be greener. And 70% of millennials are willing to pay more for products that are socially and environmentally responsible. So we also know that they're very willing to share on social media when something is cause-related. So up to 45% of millennials will voluntarily share this information when there is a cause behind it. However, what we're finding is of the different causes that they are associated with, conservation doesn't rank very high. In fact, it ranks 5th. Sorry. So what this really means for us is millennials do care about the environment, but essentially they just don't feel that this is urgent or something that they need to focus on right now.
Yeah, so our campaign wanted to focus on the urgency of the issue, but also provide a sense of agency that, our generation is responsible for the future of these oceans. And we know that the oceans that they face are vast. I mean, these are large global issues, and not a single individual, not a single corporation or government can really tackle these alone. And we have to pledge and to hold each other accountable. We got to pledge to work together because we are all, at the end of the day, on the hook. So that's kind of the campaign tagline, really putting the onus on everyone in this room, everyone around us, and everyone through social, holding them responsible for the future of the ocean.
So with that being said, we are officially putting millennials on the hook on 3 pillars. We are going to captivate millennials to get involved in these conversations. We're going to educate them by partnering with the UN. And then we're going to create simple challenges for them to participate in the conversation and taking small steps towards sustaining our ecosystem underwater.
Great. And so the first 2 ideas we have are really to grab the attention and spread awareness of our campaign. The first idea would be to do a stunt with Michael Phelps, in which he essentially swims through a waterway filled with garbage. We'd record the stunt, share it online, really with the aim of sparking conversation around ocean pollution and our campaign. The second idea that we'd have is to partner with aquariums around the world and host a special exhibit showing what the future of our oceans would look like. So visitors would enter this exhibit expecting to see beautiful ecosystems and fish, but then be greeted with a tank filled with trash and dead coral. So it'll be hopefully a jarring but eye-opening experience to really spread the urgency of this issue. And we tie it all together by having the rest of the exhibit really educate visitors on why the oceans are important to us and further spread the word on the campaign.
Now, in order to educate, we want to create a video that imagines how life will look if we don't put ourselves on the hook for ocean sustainability. Just imagine, your beach vacations or simple actions like eating sushi. You won't have the fresh fish or the beautiful scenery to enjoy. In addition to that, we'll activate a social campaign to amplify this message to millennials, providing stats and tips on marine life and sustainability. Both mediums will prompt users to visit the On the Hook microsite to learn more about the importance of ocean conservation, SDG 14, and how they can make small lifestyle changes for continued sustainability.
Yeah, and then at the heart of our social campaign is this holding each other accountable and responsible for ocean preservation practices. So throughout a year-long campaign, we present challenges which we would challenge both our followers and allowing them to challenge their friends, putting them on the hook to use reusable bottles, to bike ride more often, just little things we can do in our daily lives that will help the oceans. And this can extend towards corporations. If we all band together, we could put Uber and Lyft on the hook to have more eco-friendly car fleets, McDonald's on the hook to have a sustainably raised filet-o-fish. And then when governments are getting together, we put them on the hook to pass bills and partake in agreements that protect our oceans and our ocean lives. So now that you guys know about ocean sustainability, you guys are on the hook as well. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, they did not know each other 24 hours ago. Amazing work. Judges, you're on the hook. Next team up is above and below.
Good morning. We're above and below, and we're here to present our solution for some of the shared problems that our shared world faces. So we're kind of familiar with the task at hand, which is basically how do we create advocacy for ocean sustainability, specifically SDG 14. And there are a lot of challenges we face in that, and we've kind of distilled and isolated 3 communication challenges, because knowing the problems is how we create a solution. And so our first challenge is the fact that 8.5 million people tweet a month about environmental sustainability. Now that sounds like a good thing, right? That's free advertising. But the problem is, it becomes like advertising. We're tuning it out. Everyone's news feeds are filled, bombarded with their friends and family members posting their cause of choice, and we begin to zone out. It all becomes one blur, and we begin to scroll through it. It becomes white noise. Our second issue in communication, in getting people to resonate with this issue, is a lack of knowledge, right? People aren't really informed enough to know how the problems that face the ocean, that the ocean faces, affect them and their daily lives, right? And so there's this lack of context, and that contributes to a lack of emotional buy-in. And lastly, there's this low top-of-mind awareness. So we're not dealing with the ocean on a day-to-day basis like we are with other causes, right? We're not seeing it. We don't have those same daily triggers. And so for a lot of people, the ocean feels very distant to them. It's not at the forefront of their mind. So how are other causes? Because we, in advertising, we focus on the competitive landscape. And there's a lot of things vying for our attention. And in this category, it's causes, right? What causes are vying for our attention? So we looked at what is the world saying? What are the causes saying? And it's generally do more, give more, be selfless, right? Everyone's saying it. It's contributing to this white noise. And so we mulled this over, and this really contributed to us finding our insight and what would in turn drive a strategy that would contribute to solving this problem, breaking through, cutting through the white noise, and making the ocean more of a personal thing for people. And so our insight is, it's in our nature to be a bit self-interested. If you were to tell me that there's a fish out there and he's swimming in plastic and ingesting plastic, well, I'm busy. My life's a mess. I'm got to pick my kid up from school. I'm dealing with all these work problems. I have all these real personal problems, so I'm not necessarily going to devote that time and care. But if you told me that the fish I'm eating ingested and swam in plastic, and that in turn might make me sick, well, my ears are more likely to perk. So don't ask people to be selfless. Ask people to be selfish. So this drove our strategy. So if people connected the fact that what threatens the ocean threatens you, then supporting SDG 14, then in supporting SDG 14, you're not being selfish enough, right, if you don't support it. So that's our strategy, and it's basically boiled down to this. How do we bring the oceans closer to home, right? How does it drive home, and how do we show that the effects are affecting us? And so now I'll turn it over to Amber, and she'll show how this lives creatively.
Can you do that? Hi. So this leads us to our big idea, which is stay selfish. And it's a campaign that says, ask people to take care of themselves by first taking care of the ocean. Or if you want to think about it in another way, it's caring for the ocean is caring for yourself. So to the next slide, this is our key visual. This is how this could potentially come to life. So you see this girl, and right now she can't breathe. And so the copy says, stay selfish, breathe easy. A garbage truck worth of plastic is dumped every minute of every day into our oceans, the same oceans that absorb about 50% of carbon dioxide produced by humans. Save the oceans, it's in your best interest. Hashtag stay selfish, take the pledge to save the ocean at stayselfish.com. So this is really what we want to focus on, and we really feel like this can come to life in a lot of different ways. So first, this is a global data point, but to localize this, you can look at regional data and add that to the campaign with one of these arresting visuals. I think secondly, you can target and you can place the content on channels and around content that are centered around selfishness, right? So it could be on social media, or maybe it's placed around content around health and beauty. Lastly, I think you can either use influencers or just once again have your content come live around events that are self-centered. So it could be award shows or red carpets. And then lastly, not just using that time there, but additionally using World Ocean Day to really launch this campaign. So I hope you see some of the thoughtfulness that we've put in here, that eye-catching creative piece, and then lastly, just the passion that we have for this, and I hope you see that this could be the campaign to really make people care about the ocean's decline. Thank you.
Well done, above and below. Reminder, there is a 5-minute time limit. We're going to keep to that. You'll hear the Oscar music come along right afterwards, and essentially when they have 30 seconds left after they've gone over. Wonderful presentation. This next team thinks that they're the best, and therefore they'll be demonstrating that via Trash Talk.
Morning, everyone. So, we're facing one of the greatest challenges that humanity has ever seen, and it's happening right now, this generation. Our challenge is that we need to save the oceans because they're facing a real threat. So what we're going to do is that we have seen that we're not showing our oceans any love at all. In fact, what we're doing is that we're trashing them. We're seeing, as some other people have pointed out before us, that 1 truckload of trash goes into the ocean every minute of every day around the world. And just in LA alone, 10 metric tons of trash flows into the Pacific Ocean every day. So the problem is we need to raise awareness and amplify the message, and we need to help people around the world on an individual level, which will ladder up. And we need to help people achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 14, which is to conserve life below water and make everyday choices that will help make that become a reality.
Thank you. So what's our solution, you ask? We're starting a conversation. Hashtag trash talk. Now, some of you may believe that trash talk has a negative connotation. However, we're flipping that on its head and utilizing positive trash talk in ways that you've never seen before. We want to take our trash talk right where the heart of we know we can make a change, which is millennials. Now, some millennials, including myself, have heard that we tend to be self-centered, we tend to be a little egotistical. However, we have a heart. I know. 70% of millennials identify as social activists, and 61% recognize that pollution is a social priority. I told you guys we care. So, what are we doing? We're going to where millennials are. It's a known fact that millennials love social media and also love experiences. We're utilizing tentpole activations as well as social media to drive the call to action to make a change and talk some trash. Our first tentpole event to kick off the campaign is a partnership with the Met Gala. For anyone who's not familiar with the Met Gala, it takes place every year in New York, and celebrities from all over the industry come together to support a cause and a theme that the Met Gala has chosen. The 2018 theme of the Met Gala will be Trash Talk, utilizing trash that can be found in the ocean to create beautiful costumes that all celebrities will wear. This will not only generate conversation socially, but also on all platforms, public relations-wise and everything like that. We are joining in on the conversation. Now, and I know that you may believe that the conversation will be lost in just the designers and the pieces. However, last year, over 20% of the social conversation surrounding the Met Gala was about sustainable fabric. So people are talking about causes that are put toward the forefront. Outside of our Met Gala push that will go towards social platforms, we are going to where where trash talk is ingrained in culture. We're utilizing comedians and athletes who tend to do this on a daily basis to also ignite the change. Taking our conversation socially, using all platforms, anytime you hashtag trash talk, whether it's surrounding the Met Gala, whether it's an athlete trash talking and you're joining in on that conversation, or whether you're just hashtagging trash talk just because and you are not aware of this conversation, you will be served an automatic reply. In this automatic reply, it could be custom content, such as Kevin Hart waking up on Trash Island and wondering how he woke up there, or it could be a fact educating you that over 5 million straws are used and thrown away a day. So how about you stop sucking and join the pledge or take the pledge? After you are guided to the pledge site, you will then be served information on how to share and also how to change things in your day-to-day lifestyle that will help drive change in eliminating some of the trash that we develop. The goal of this entire campaign is to empower us to love and not trash our oceans. Thank you.
Told you there's going to be trash talking here. All right, our next team. They're not about the old wave. Please welcome New Wave.
Good morning. So we've all been in relationships, right? Some of us have been in draining relationships. You know, the kind of relationship where you're the one that's giving, you give, you give, you give, and all the other person does is take. No thanks, no appreciation, and no reciprocity. That type of relationship can be damaging, and it can be harmful. The ocean is a source of life. It provides us with drinking water, with food, with entertainment, and relaxation. It's home to many organisms, marine life, and ecosystems. We need it to survive. You see, the ocean provides us with more than 50% of the oxygen that we need to breathe. Yet, worldwide, we dump an equivalent of 1 garbage truck of plastics into the ocean every single minute. Why do we treat the ocean this way? The reality is that we are in a toxic relationship with the ocean, and we are all abusers. Relationships are a universal language. We're in relationships with our parents, our coworkers, our colleagues, our friends, our significant others. So what we did was humanize the ocean to connect with people in a way that they would all understand, in a way in which they would care. Because let's face it, no one wants to be in a toxic relationship. We want to inspire people to take action by showing them how toxic their relationship is with the ocean and by educating them on how they can improve that relationship. They are going to make a commitment, and they're going to make a commitment to bettering that relationship by signing up for the One for All pledge.
So how are we going to bring this to life? Okay. We're going to start with a launch day. We're going to start with a launch day where anyone who tweets about the beach or the ocean over the course of that day is going to get a response from the ocean itself saying, hey, you know, we had a good run, but we need to talk. Basically, the ocean's going to break up with you over Twitter. And so it's a great big splash moment, but we'll also have a good opportunity to activate influencers to say, hey, baby, ocean, take me back, you know? I still love you. And we can have some good content come out of that. Following up on the launch, we're going to have a targeted media spend starting with pre-roll. So you can imagine a spot where boyfriend comes home from work, he kicks his shoes off, sets his feet on the coffee table, throws his 20-ounce bottle of soda on the floor and says, hey babe, can you grab that? She's rolling her eyes, she goes over and picks it up. VO comes in and says, you wouldn't treat your girlfriend this way. Why do you treat the ocean this way? You know, a relationship is the most obvious metaphor for this, but toxic relationships come in all forms. They can be friendships, they can be roommates, and we can explore all of those different executions through pre-roll. It was also really important for us to make sure that we had a concept that could cross borders since this is a global campaign. And you know, even though the idea of an unhealthy relationship may vary by culture, our interpersonal relationships are universal, but they're also very relevant to different people. So this can localize really well. We're also going to do out of home, where the ocean will literally break up with you on your commute. How cool is that? This billboard says by 2050, there will be more plastic in me than fish. We need to talk. Both of these are big awareness campaigns, but we will follow it up with this tactic to sustain momentum. So what do you do when you're in a toxic relationship? You talk to a relationship counselor. We're going to create a chat bot that is a relationship counselor that you can engage with over text, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, basically your tool of choice, to ask for advice on little things that you can do in your day-to-day to repair the relationship that you have with the ocean. The important part of this is scalability, so we want to make sure that it can be as simple as taking people from the sustainability pledge to talk to the chatbot, or we can work with local schools, get it involved in the middle school science curriculum. It works on different levels. But you know, these are just a few of the tactics that we want to implement to really break that cycle and end our toxic relationship with the ocean. Thank you.
That was fabulous. Again, these wonderful participants did not know each other yesterday and got the brief yesterday. So in less than loosely 20 hours, they've been able to do such amazing work and aggregate wonderful presentations. So next up, we have Not Plastic.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm Isabel, this is Harry, Kelly, and Lisa, and we're Team Not Plastic. So our challenge today is to create awareness about the urgency of the problems our oceans face and inspire people to act. Our target audience is millennials because they are the people who are going to be most impacted with the implications of the challenges we're facing, and they're the future leaders of the country. Within our challenge, we wanted to point out that people are aware that the ocean is in trouble, but they don't know how immediate the danger is. So we wanted to focus on urgency. And then we also know that millennials are willing to take action for causes they care about, but they need to be inspired to do so. A couple of the key insights that led us to our decision to focus on reducing the use of plastic. Our millennial research showed that the majority of millennials surveyed have a zest for life, and they love life. When they feel that life is being threatened, they are willing to take personal responsibility to fight those threats. They're also more likely to take action if they feel the effects will be immediate. So we've seen this in the last few months with the rise of activism among millennials in this country.
The big idea. Ultimately, our goal is to reduce plastic consumption. We wanted to focus on something that was actionable and that we felt that people could take part in easily and personally. So with that, we decided to use plastic as a gateway to ocean conservation and sustainability. By doing that, we're using the hashtag #NotPlastic to open minds that there are alternatives to plastic. Nowadays, there are stainless steel options for plastic water bottles, canvas totes for plastic bags, and even biodegradable options for plastic utensils. So to start creating awareness, I'm going to pass it on to Harry for tactics.
Okay, so how do we create urgency and inspire action? We feel like the best way to do that is to show people the massive negative effect of plastic on the ocean. And one of the best ways for sustained consumer engagement right now is live events. So for our launch idea, we propose having an event, a global event called Enter the Trash Vortex. In case you guys don't know, in the North Pacific Ocean, there is a giant swirling vortex of garbage patches full of trash, old nets, and microplastics. A lot of people know about it, a lot of people haven't seen this before. So we would like to partner with influencers and brand partners to actually take people to the trash vortex and have our influencers and partners explore and report on the vortex live. And during the live stream, if you like it or share it, our influencer will take a piece of plastic out of the vortex. So there's interactivity and people feel like they're empowered. During the live stream, we'll also be encouraging people to take the pledge for the SDG 14. We'll be giving everyday tips to help people reduce plastic, and we'll also allow brands to use this as a platform to promote their own sustainable anti-plastic efforts. And so after this launch event, we want to keep the momentum of experience and interactivity going. VR is something that's trending up, it's becoming more accessible, so we'd like to create a video game called Escape from the Trash Vortex. In this game, you are an otter who is trapped in the eye of the vortex, and you must escape the vortex while avoiding different pieces of falling plastic. Once you make it out of the vortex, you'll be prompted with, again, everyday tips to help you reduce plastic and to take the pledge.
In order to amplify the impact and reward players, we would partner with the nonprofit entity Benefit Corporations. For those of you who aren't aware of what B Corps is, it's a network of companies built on values of social responsibility, including companies like Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, and The Honest Company. It's a natural fit for influencers like Jessica Alba, who's actually a co-founder of The Honest Company. Through these brands, we would reward players of the game and amplify through those brands to reach greater audiences. In order to extend the campaign, we would continue the conversation on social, relaunching the One for All Twitter account to reflect a voice that resonates with millennial audiences. The One for All account would engage and interact by monitoring, trolling, and memifying accounts by adding sea otter emojis to cover up any photos that reference or feature plastic usage and offer tips on reducing plastic consumption. Or join the sustainability efforts, including signing the pledge. We would also partner with social platforms like Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram to offer downloadable and free sea wildlife emojis and filters. In sum, we think Not Plastic will create a global conversation about plastic alternatives and will be a way to highlight all the things natural while gamifying and socializing the experience. So we hope that you will join us. Save the oceans, F plastic.
Fabulous multi-pronged approach. Shane, we doing good? Enjoying this? Marvelous. Next up, welcome to the stage, Team FPO.
Thank you. We just wanted to start off by thanking the 4A's and our judges. Yesterday was a really interesting session for us, and we just appreciate you hearing our ideas. Oh, there you are. So you guys have heard it 5 times before, but we're going to say it again because we think it's a really important issue. Our oceans ecosystems are in serious decline, and unfortunately, you and you and you and myself and the team on the stage, we've caused this issue.
And to Andrea's point, I think in our think tank yesterday, there were a few points that really resonated with us. Some you've already heard, but over 8 million tons of plastic is dumped into our oceans every year. And when we quantify that over time, by the year 2050, about 30 years from now, there will be more plastic in our oceans than fish.
Guys, more plastic than fish in the ocean. We will literally never find Nemo.
Americans alone contribute to this by 2.5 million plastic cups and bottles every hour. In short, what we drink out of ends up in our oceans.
So how do we fix this? That's a really big issue to solve, and I think it's mentioned we literally met each other yesterday. We had basically 5 hours to come up with something, and we were in a hotel basement. So, you know, it was a challenge for us, and we decided that we wanted to really narrow our focus, and we thought, what if we reduce the amount of beverage-related waste that's dumped into the ocean every year? You know, something that is very focused and small can have a huge impact. So what is our idea? Something as small as a cup can bring attention to life below water. Our team really believes that we can change the planet, we can help the oceans, 1 cup at a time, which is why we're encouraging everyone to hashtag BYOC, bring your own cup.
Essentially, we want consumers to start making an impact and make their pledge to BYOC. We do want to incentivize consumers when they go to make this pledge on the SDG 14 site by being rewarded with a free, eco-friendly, and reusable travel cup. And in return, we ask that they post and share the hashtag BYOC on social media as they use their reusable cup instead of disposable plastic. And we want to start out by reaching everyday beverage consumers in progressive markets so that they can start making this very small and simple change in their daily lives that will in turn have a very impacting effect over time. I think that it's a very small change that'll have a big impact, and we don't want this to just be a one-time thing, but we want to make it a movement. And when we make this a movement, it works in 3 ways. The first is partnering with major beverage and QSR companies to incentivize consumers with discounts to BYOC. Secondly, we want to amplify our message through social influencers and celebrities, which in turn encourages everyday beverage consumers to also join the movement and use the hashtag BYOC among their peers. And lastly, we want to work with local artists to help create these free and amazing reusable cups so that not only can I continue to incentivize these consumers to join the BYOC movement, but also to share it with everyone with pride as they post in social media with that BYOC hashtag.
So how do we make it real and how do we kick it off? We'd start with some social seeding. We'd seed influencers with our BYOC cups and bottles and ask them, and probably pay them, to post using hashtag BYOC and opt out for plastic to kind of get their audiences excited and get them interested in how they can take the pledge. And then from there, on World Oceans Day, we'd make a big splash.
Nice one, Andrea.
Thank you so much. And we'd really support the BYO initiative in a big way. We would leverage existing World Oceans Day events and kind of leverage our influencers to drum up excitement, get their audiences to join those events, and give out our free BYOC cups. And then finally, we'd launch a press release to really announce the initiative on a large scale and just giving consumers more information about where they can sign up, where they can get their BYOC cup, and how they can participate. And finally, a lot of people have talked about how this is such a global issue, so we wanted to make sure it's scalable and executable. So we'd create a BYOC toolkit that could be shared across the globe, and that would just allow countries to basically execute BYOC in a really relevant and local way.
So everyone here on the stage has already taken their pledge for the BYOC movement. And if you guys have started to feel a little guilty with seeing all the plastic bottles and cups and lids sitting along your tables, then we definitely encourage you guys to join us in the BYOC movement and make that little change at work, at school, on the go, in your everyday life. Make that simple change to make a huge impact in the future, and bring your own cup.
Team FPO had me at not finding Nemo. But I'm feeling a little bit brighter at the wonderful presentations that we're seeing, and I'm excited. And since I'm in Southern California, I'm especially excited to hear from the Sunny Spot.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. We are the Sunny Spot, and we are excited to present to you our idea for SDG Goal 14, Life Underwater. We know that the oceans are depleting. We know that the trash is killing our marine life, and the main cause of this is us, humans. But the situation is that 60% of the world's population lives at least 100 kilometers from the ocean. This doesn't mean that they don't care. This means that the problem is not top of mind. They don't see it every day, so they don't think that they're affecting it. But the reality is that they do care, but taking action is hard. In a survey conducted here in the US and in Europe, millennials ranked sustainability as a top 10 value out of 97. So they care, and they want to do something. So our strategy is to bring the problem to the consumer. As advertisers, we do this every day. We bring the product to the consumer, not the other way around. And we eliminate the barriers to participation this way. We want them to not just post something, we want them to take tangible action because they're ready to do so.
So how do we bring this to life? We're going to bring this to life through an initiative called See the Change. And what this really is that in order to raise awareness for an issue that's basically unseen and masked by the ocean, we're going to bring the trash that's burdening the seas to the streets of New York, LA, the largest cities in the world. And what better of a day to do that on than World Oceans Day 2018?
So by partnering with local governments, private sector, and community leaders from 7 major cities around the globe, we'll create a provocative stunt to raise awareness by building art installations made of the trash that is burdening our oceans every day. As people walk through these installations, they'll be able to learn more about the detrimental impact that daily human actions can have on our oceans, marine life, and what that means for the overall global economy and environment. Most importantly, people will have the chance to see and hear stories from those directly impacted, primarily members of the small island developing states that normally have little to no platform to have their voices heard. At the end of the walkthrough, participants will be prompted to sign the One for All pledge, share the experience on social media, and encourage others to see the change.
Beyond the installation, we also want to partner with corporations like Amazon to help deliver the tools to help people fulfill their SDG pledge. Introducing our See the Change Sustainability Toolkit. Inside each kit will not only include resources and information on ocean sustainability initiatives and how to be involved, but also samples of eco-friendly, sustainable, ocean-friendly everyday products. More and more people globally are utilizing subscription services to help have everyday products, things like paper towels, shampoo, dish detergent delivered to our doorsteps. We want to make it easy for people to try, convert, shop, and then subscribe to eco-friendly, ocean-friendly everyday alternatives.
And we want to move beyond just the individual households, which is why we present the See the Change corporate kit. And this kit will include a range of products from cutlery to office supplies, such as pens, Post-it notes, and papers. And all of these products will be eco-friendly and sustainable. In addition, we will partner with different companies, corporations, and nonprofits. And we will ask them to sign a sustainability pledge as well as to opt into the box. These kits are really a tool and resource to help make lifestyle changes easy.
All right, so how do we make this campaign live beyond just the 7 cities? How do we raise awareness to the world at large? So in addition to the earned media that our trash installations will garner, we also recommend issuing press releases to all the major news networks, domestic and international. That way we can extend our editorial coverage beyond just earned media. Additionally, we also should parlay the people interacting with our trash installations to become our quote-unquote speaker phones. How do we do that? We recommend partnering with social platforms, Snapchat and Twitter, due to their huge user base that spans domestic and international. For Snapchat, we can run geo-targeted Snapchat filters within the 7 cities so that our message can be amplified via live stories. And on Twitter, we can run a See the Change, you mind going back to the, we can run a See the Change trend campaign where anyone who tweets the trend will get a free installation or sustainability box. And what about, how do we extend the longevity of our campaign? How do we get people to continue to engage, continue to pledge? We recommend running media takeovers across BuzzFeed and Imager, sites that have high indexing, that have a high index against environmentally conscious millennials, as well as a high concentration of international users. In addition, to combat the 24-hour news cycle, we also recommend running paid promotion across Facebook that will seed out the editorial coverage that we were able to garner the day before.
See the Change is an impactful program, and we're excited to work with you to see the change together. Thank you.
Another wonderful presentation. This topic is challenging. This topic is, these presentations are inspiring, and I hope that everybody here will also take the pledge. I obviously don't have perfect vision, not 2020, but I'll give it up to those who see the future in the next 2 generations. 2050 vision.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us here. We are incredibly excited to be here. We are Team 2050 Vision, and yesterday we were tasked with finding a way to raise awareness about the crucial role that the ocean plays in the global ecosystem. And when we started looking into this project, the question that we kept asking ourselves is, what will the world look like in 20 or 30 or 100 years if current trends don't change? And the thing that we found was that by 2050, 26 major cities in the United States will be facing an emerging flooding crisis due to rising sea levels. 26 cities in the United States alone, which doesn't even account for the 190 other countries worldwide, which is why we decided to tackle the issue of how climate change is leading to rapidly rising sea levels worldwide.
So if it's out of sight, out of mind, that's just a human nature of pushing problems aside, and the same thing happens with global issues. So people are slow to take action because the problem seems so far away. People think that the problem is too big, and when they try to participate, it doesn't have an impact. But if we all do our part, we can actually see a change. And so over the years, we've seen numerous environmental initiatives, but we want to create a new approach, a new strategy, and create a shock through a disruptive cultural moment.
All right, so let's bring the potential shock and reality of the year 2050 straight to our consumers and our audience's doorsteps. Let's bring those real emotions that will happen, those real actions, to right now. So our big idea here is 2050 today. Bring the realities of 2050 to the present. We're going to break this out into 3 phases. Phase 1 is shock. Next up, we have to activate. And third but not least is to educate.
So we've all heard the phrase that people don't know what they're missing until it's gone. So we are going to close down the busiest beaches in the world on one of the busiest days of summer. Imagine that you're heading to the beach with your family. You're excited for a day of fun in the sun, but when you get there, the beach is closed. You're obviously mad and you're confused, but lucky for us, when people are mad, they take action and they talk about it. So we're going to capitalize on those emotions and create a global movement around a singular cause, a pledge to save the oceans. We're going to call for those beachgoers on site as well as beyond to take the pledge, and once a certain number of pledges are reached that day, the beach access will be unlocked. We'll also allow for people coast to coast to follow along via live digital billboard countdowns, as well as the inherent media coverage that will follow the trending conversation.
So after this big shock event, we want to get the moment going and continue to shock people on social media worldwide. Now, we know that it's natural social behavior for people to talk about or share photos of the beach, whether they're right there or whether they're planning for their next beach vacation. So what we'll do is, through social listening, identify those conversations and reach out to people one-on-one to deliver hyper-relevant messages that are personalized to them. For example, what you see on the screen. In addition, we'll partner with social influencers as well as other partners to continue spreading the word and message and get people to sign up for the pledge.
Now that we have their attention, let's educate them. So we said earlier that when it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So let's bring it back into mind. How will we do this? Through dynamic creative and immersive content. Through dynamic creative, we can send personalized messaging and call to actions based on geography and location. For example, we can send customized personal messaging to people in non-coastal areas with relevant tactics or strategies to do sustainable agriculture. So this will show that even though climate change may seem far away, it still affects them on their day-to-day. We will also partner with high-reaching publication partners such as National Geographic and Vice to create immersive content series around a singular issue, educating the masses while urging them to make changes to their disruptive behavior. By leveraging these high-reaching partners, we will be able to reach our audience at scale and provide easy ways for people to change their behaviors in everyday life, changes that will make a lasting and vital impact.
Great, so you've heard our strategy, but how do we see this happening? So we'll start with that launch, the shock of closing the beaches. After that, we'll continue with the activation portion, making sure we're engaging social influencers as well as businesses to make sure we're spreading the message. On top of that, the most important aspect of this is making sure never leaves top of mind, and that's the education portion, making sure that we continue to educate as well as bring relevant and the most current content to all the populations of the world. And finally, making this a repeat event. This will be the first time, but we want to make sure that everyone knows that 2050 is still within this lifetime, so making sure that that stays occurring each year. Thank you all so much. We appreciate your time, and have a great day.